what we saw was that the government, with the security apparatus, had really unleashed violence on the protesters, the youth specifically here. And that didn't go down well with the civil society. So while you have also the other political parties like BNP, the opposition, which was really not the opposition, but the other political party, and it's been said that Jamaat, which is also another political party, which has now been banned, of course, joining the the rallies and the protests, but civil society, like families from all over, middle income, high income, the artist group, everybody joined the protest. It was a nationwide protest joined by all walks of people from all walks of life.
And it's ended with the resignation of the country's longest serving Prime Minister. Are you surprised it's come to this?
No, not at all. Because the way things were going, it wasn't looking good at all. And in one of my earlier interviews, I've said this because the resentment and the anger amongst the youth were very high. And it's just not only the problem over the quota. The problem was the last three elections were not free and fair or democratic by any standard. The last couple of years, there has been huge corruption, which people felt that government was not addressing. The country which was doing very well economically suddenly nosedived. Uh, Unemployment rates were very high, inflation very high. So there were a lot of issues that the civil society, the youths were believing or thinking that the government wasn't addressing. So clearly, anger, resentment, which had all been, inside, suddenly kind of fell out and came forth.
Well, it's quite the downfall of a leader who has ruled for, she was into her fifth term, I understand, and four of those terms consecutively. How has she been regarded by the people of Bangladesh?
She carries a legacy of national icon Mujibur Rahman, Bangabandhu Mujibur Rahman, who actually brought liberation to the country. So obviously, she was always has been held in high esteem. The terminology is always Mujib Konna, which is Mujib's daughter. But of course, she's done fabulous work also in terms of developmental and many others. She's actually transformed Bangladesh drastically. But had it not been for the fact for the last couple of years, the she had become extremely autocratic in many of her ways. She had severely clamped on media. She had clamped on any voice which was not speaking the government voice. So all of that didn't go down well. And I think that's another issue that we face in South Asia or elsewhere also, that when a government stays in power for too long, you tend to control all the other organs of the government, which is exactly what had happened here. So people were feeling as they were very claustrophobic. They were not able to express. And, this is again what we saw today was a culmination of all these and other factors. Yes.
And she's now fled the country. Where do you understand her to be right now?
We've just been getting reports right now that she's landing in Delhi. She's actually come to India in a part called Agartala, which is the northeast. But we just got news that she's landing at 5 o'clock Indian time in Delhi, and apparently she's en route to London. But these are all rumors. We don't know what's correct.
So what happens now then as Bangladesh seeks to stabilise itself? What role does the army have to play in all of this?
The army chief had just a briefing, and he said that they're now going to the president. They've had an all party meeting. They are going to propose an interim government. So the interim government will probably be held by somebody who the civil society approves of, the all party members approve of. And clearly, we need, the country needs law and order, stabilization. So the army is certainly going to be part of that, from the front, from the back, whichever way it is. But this new interim government will certainly have the support of the army, as I see it.
Is it too early to take a guess at who might take over as leader of Bangladesh in the days, weeks, months to come?
It's too early to say. I would think that interim government would stabilize the, polity, and then probably going for again election. They just had an election this January, so it's really too soon. So they'll have to think of a consensual, member who can take the country forward. But right now, we are hoping that this interim government will restore peace and order to the country, which is much needed at this point of time, and calm the nerves. And there's been a lot of bloodshed, and the sadness is clearly very thick in the air.
What is the feeling on the streets right now? I think immediately after the Prime Minister fled, there was jubilation and celebration. But when Bangladeshis have time to think and stop and reflect on what's happened in the past few weeks, how do you think they're feeling?
There's going to be a lot of sadness, lot of anger, a lot of resentment. In fact, I don't know whether you've noticed, but they've also overrun Gana Bhavan, which is her official residence. And they have, they're kind of looting things away from there. The images of people sitting there and eating from a kitchen, lying down on the bed, using the sofa. So clearly, the tempers and the immediate youth uh, feelings have been very, very rife, I would say. But at the same time, I'm hoping things will settle down. There have been some unsavory activities on the road, but again, it's a heat of the moment. You know how youths at times react, but I have a lot of faith in Bangladeshi youth and Bangladeshi civil society, and I know things will calm down. They will think of a, they all want stable economically, kind of sound country ahead. So, and they will all work for it. I'm very convinced about that.
And just lastly, what will happen to the jobs quota system, which has been at the core of these protests? Why has it been so contentious? And is there hope that it can be reformed?
Yes, in fact, quite ironically, in between all of this protest movement, the appellate division in Supreme Court had brought that down to completely, diluted it only 5%, which is certainly a number that people can live with. So and the protesters actually in the 9-point demand had never said that do away with the quota system. So I think this 5% that the Supreme Court has now, given a ruling for will probably stay. But again, I'm sure these are many of the other issues which will be up for discussion. But again, once there's kind of stability and peace or order on the streets, and I guess they can get into. And of course, the point that you said that too many lives have been lost, so everybody's looking for justice. And I hope that's exactly what the army chief said, that every family will get justice. And, we hope there'll be a closure on this very unfortunate phase of Bangladesh.
Professor Sreeradha Datta, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate your time.
Thank you.